Hello students, we have already covered the topic of terrorism in detail, and now I will be discussing next topic of discussion, that is linkage between organized crime and terrorism. You are already aware that this particular topic is explicitly mentioned in your syllabus of GS paper 3 under internal security heading, right? So here in this video we will look into the organized crime, what it is all about, and also though you have already covered most of the topics in terrorism, still the linkage, what kind of association is there between terrorism and organized crime, we will look into that in detail. What exactly we will be doing in this particular video, we will take the introduction part, we will define organized crime, categorization of organized crime, and the characteristics that can explain clearly what is organized crime is all about. Then what is transnational crime? I will explain you the definition of transnational. Definitely transnational means that within different countries there is a nexus and there is a problem of organized crime, and that is prevailing in number of countries, maybe 2, more than 3, right? Then what are the different types of organized crime? Factors responsible for the spread of the organized crime. So spread is something else and cause is something else. Definitely organized crime, the cause is reaping economic benefits. However, if it is asked how it is spreading and why it is spreading, what are the factors responsible, so ensure that what has been asked to you, write specific to that particular query. Then what are the issues and challenges if our organizations, government, security forces, we are trying to combat this problem but we are facing some challenges and issues. What are they all about? Then what are the various forms? When we say there are forms of particular terrorism and organized crime, then what forms we are actually addressing here, and then linkages in the Indian context. I will give you some examples here. What are the government initiatives, and separately I will be teaching you a topic that is called as drug abuse. A single question of 10 marks or 15 marks can be asked with respect to drug abuse. So we will discuss this topic in detail separately, right? Now before going further, I want to tell you there was a previous year question, and particularly in 2002 recent mains exam, what question was asked? Question was very simple, that define different types of organized crime. So you see such a simple question was asked to you. This was the first part of the question. Second part explicitly asked you regarding describe the particular linkage between terrorist organization organized crime that exist between national and international levels. So you see here 3 parts are there. First part is the different types. This is first part of the question. Second is describing the linkage between terrorist organized crime, or that too you have to explain with respect to national and international levels. So these are the 2 parts, second part and third part. If you will explain the answer with respect to national part only, then definitely you will lose marks. If you just give the answer with respect to different types and you do not mention in detail about national and international levels, definitely also you will lose marks. But this is a very direct question that was asked recently. However, in past also with respect to the terrorism, whenever the question of terrorism has occurred, separately as a small question also linkages has been asked, but this time it was a very direct question on the same topic. Students, whatever we will be learning in this particular topic, that doesn't mean will apply only here. If a question comes up on terrorism, then also you will be writing and quoting these examples in your exam about the organized crime. If a question comes regarding the funding of the terrorism or terrorist organization, then also you got these points. In addition, if a question comes up on money laundering, let us suppose, you know, money laundering is a separate topic of internal security mentioned in your syllabus, money laundering and its prevention. I will be teaching you this topic in detail, do not worry. But if such question is also asked to you, then also organized crime comes into the picture and you have to mention at least one point regarding organized crime. So you see, whatever you will be learning here, it doesn't mean that it applies to only single topic of linkage of terrorism and organized crime, but definitely wherever internal security threats are there, organized crime is prevailing and you can quote these examples in your exam. So I hope you understand the importance of the topic. And now coming to the main heading. The main heading is, what exactly is organized crime? Let me first explain you in a simple words what it is all about, and then I'll give you the proper definition also. Students, if you want to explain organized crime, there are few things that can be said about organized crime. First of all, the cause. As I've already told you, why organized crime is prevailing. It is prevailing because its objective is to make money. So economic benefit is the reason for occurrence of organized crime. Second point comes is that all the activities that are done under organized crime, these activities are illegal activities. So these illegal activities, the purpose of doing all these illegal activities is definitely making money. Third point, you can say that there is proper planning. Whenever you want to do an organized crime, definitely you don't want to do, whenever a group wants to do an organized crime, there is proper planning behind it and secrecy, transparency and confidentiality, right? Because they do not want to be exposed, and there is proper structure in which such an organized crime will be happening. That means there is proper hierarchy, there are proper levels, that there will be field criminals, and then there will be some kind of a boss over them. In some movies also, in some kind of web series also, you see such a structure, and maybe their nexus is there to the top, till the top, and then there could be some bureaucrats, there could be some government officials who are corrupt that can engage in the organized crime, or a person linked to a political group can also be part of this. So such kind of a nexus prevails. What you can do, you can just simply make a triangle stating about the nexus that exists between criminals, one. Second, maybe politician, not everyone definitely, but there can be some political leader behind such kind of acts maybe, and there could be definitely some government officials who are maybe corrupt. Any government official, it depends. Even a simple salaried person, government official can be the part of this nexus. It doesn't matter whatsoever. So corruption, yes, corruption is a big problem in our country, we already know this. And then corruption, if corruption is there, then such kind of a organized crime can prevail, and definitely they are criminals. So students, this kind of a nexus, it exists. And if we take one example is of Vikas Dubey case. Recently a criminal was encountered, in fact killed by the police officials. His name is Vikas Dubey. Recently the case happened. It is being said that Vikas Dubey, he was a big criminal, and how come such a criminal exists in the society? Definitely there would have been some kind of a nexus that helped him in becoming such a big criminal, and later on even some kind of a terrorist attack he did, attacking some policemen. If you know the case, he attacked some policemen, some of the police personnel, they were killed by him, and henceforth he was later on, it is being said that encountered by the police officials. But Such kind of a criminal can only exist if he or she has a political support or support from the government officials. So this is basically organized crime, right? And they do not want to express any kind of ideology. They are doing all these things only for making money or economic purpose is the reason. So I hope you have basic understanding about the word organized crime, and when we say organized, that means definitely there are players, there are group of people who are doing in a very structured manner doing some kind of a crime. I'll give you one definition, students. This definition is according to the Maharashtra Control of Organized Act of 1999. According to this act, the definition is that continuing unlawful activities which may be by an individual or a group. It may be out of done by a group or maybe an individual. Syndicate, the word syndicate has been used, some cartel can be there, and it basically they are using violence or threat of violence, but the objective is of gaining economic benefits. So this is one definition according to the Maharashtra Control of Organized Act by Organized Crime Act of 1999. There is another definition, students, you can use this in exam. This is definition given by Interpol. So how has Interpol defined organized crime? It is any group. So this is another definition. So I am demarcating a line. Any group having, I hope you are making notes with me here, and I would suggest you or advise you to keep a copy in your hand while listening to the lecture so that you can also make notes just listening to the video here in itself. Any group having corporate structure. So you see, according to the definition by the Interpol, a corporate structure has been said synonymous or similar to the organized crime. You know, a corporate, how a business corporate works, even in a very good hierarchy, and there is a proper well managed way of expression and making products. So this is how they are doing it. Any group having corporate structure whose primary objective, so they are saying the primary objective of the group is in itself is to obtain money. So money, again the word has been mentioned, but they are making money through illegal activities. This is a keyword here. The word here is illegal activities and making money. So if you have keywords in your mind, you can make the definition definitely, but it would be always advisable and good to quote some kind of an organization who has defined the particular word already. And these illegal activities often surviving on fear or corruption. So definitely in the minds of the people there has to be some kind of a fear, and until unless there is environment of corruption, such activities cannot prevail. So definitely there is some kind of an excess and corruption is prevailing. So these are two definitions, students. You can quote this in the exam. After looking comprehensively to these particular definitions, let's go and further explore this topic. Stating further, it can be seen very clearly and expressed very clearly that there is no single uniformly accepted definition. There are various definitions, other definitions are also there. I just don't want to complicate things. Remember just 2 to 3 definitions, and maybe you can quote a good introduction in your exam. You can make a good introduction in your exam, but definitely there is no single uniformly accepted definition. But keywords are very clear: illegal activities and economic benefit. These keywords are very much clear. So if you want to make a link between terrorism and organized crime, you can obviously quote the Global Terrorism Index report, where India ranked 12th here, And if you quote this particular index, look at the countries from top to down. If we say first position has been held by Afghanistan and Iraq or maybe Somalia, students, most of the organized crimes are occurring into the places or these places where terrorism is much more prevalent. In comparison to the developed countries organized crime may be there, but wherever terrorism has flourished, we have definitely seen some kind of the other kinds of organized crime. For example, in Afghanistan, there is a problem of opium growth, and it is one of the component countries of Golden Crescent which are popular for growing opium in the regions, right? Then organized crime convention is there. It's a UN convention of organized crime enforced in 2003. Enforced, at least we have a convention earlier, 2003, when the discussions happened in 2001, before 2001, last century, we even had no conventions. So but this convention also, it's not able to define organized crime properly, because in some of the countries few things are legal, in other countries some things are not legal. So comprehensive definition has still been under process. But what kind of networks we are talking about? We are talking about some kind of a networks that prevail in local, in national, at national level, and also at transnational level, where some kind of syndicates are there. Some examples I want to quote here, like drug trafficking, there can be arms smuggling, terrorism, definitely we are already discussing this, and the topic in itself is the linkage of the terrorism and organized crime, and ultimately money laundering. Though you have not learned much about money laundering, if yes, it's good, but separately I will be dealing with this topic and explain you this topic in detail, do not worry. But these things definitely can be quoted in your introduction of the answer. I would like to express one of the definitions by Oxford Handbook. This will also be handy for you to express yourself, express the definition in the examination. Oxford Handbook says that when a stable organization, mark the word stable, does some kind of illegal activities, this is the second keyword, and the members are engaging systematically, the members are engaging in some kind of crime, then set of curious criminal activities, they are mostly carried out for monetary gain, right? So again the keywords are organization, set standards, illegal activities, economic benefits. I do not see any point now here that my students will not be able to explain what is organized crime. Definitely now all of you can. But one question comes up, what harm does it cause at national level or for a country or even internationally? What harm this organized crime can cause? Though you already know the answer, definitely is going to harm the people, but what would you write in the exam? I am giving you for 5 points. First point, you will mention that this is going to weaken or makes the economic system of a country weak. So such kind of organized crime are going to weaken our economic system. First point, if such organized crimes are prevailing. Second point is, what about the innocent people? It is going to harm them. And what about the victims? One of the organized crime is the human trafficking, and whatever victims are there of human trafficking or drug trafficking, their human right violations are occurring. So innocents are at stake. Third point you can mention, students, the free competition that should prevail will be there will be interference at the level of free competition. Fourth point is regarding foreign commerce and relations that will be harmed. If the particular organized crime is happening in different countries and multiple countries are at stake and maybe neighbors are also at stake, then their relations, their particular foreign relations will also be harmed. Fifth point, students, is about the domestic security threat. It's true that internal security threat will be there, because if arms trading is happening, drug trading is happening, there will be violent activities also, maybe possibly, and people are in fear also. Domestic internal security threat is there. And sixth point, last point, is what about the general welfare of people? General welfare of citizens will also be harmed, right? So these are the basic 5-6 points. You can definitely, these are general points, you can quote them in the exam, maybe in conclusion, maybe in your introduction also, that if organized crime is happening, it is going to create such and different kinds of problems, right? Now students, if we want to categorize them, then we can categorize organized crime into traditional and non-traditional ways. Traditionally, if you see, even in ancient history, in medieval history, in fact in modern history, robbery, gambling, in fact illicit trade of liquor, it was common form of crime. But coming to the non-traditional means, in a modern times, something the way the crimes are being done today, it is quite different. If we talk about last 30-40 years, there are hawala transactions, there are crimes that are related to fake currency, there are crimes related to money laundering. So this is how you can categorize them. There is a difference between different types of crimes, organized crimes, and categorization. You have broad categories of traditional and non-traditional organized crime. With respect to money laundering, if you are not aware, let me tell you that if dirty money is there, what is dirty money? Dirty money means money which has been produced via illegal means. And now what you are trying to do, you means organized crime, organization will try to do, it is going to convert it into white money. White money means taking that money into the formal economic system, and it is done via 3 steps. First step is placement, second step is layering, and third step is integration. So this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. Though I will be explaining you all these steps in detail, whenever I will discuss the money laundering topic, I will teach you in detail in another video. But students, if in general I would state it, first there will be a formal placement of the money into the economic system. This is done in small pieces. Then when I say layering, that means there are number of transactions so that the original source cannot be detected. And ultimately integration means whatever small pieces that has been placed, now they will be accumulated at a single point. Let us suppose an example of a political party. Now if a political party says that I am taking receipts of donations from 100 people and 1000 people in very small amount, and now it will be integrated into a political party and it will be a fund. Maybe taking example of a business can say that I am taking investment from number of investors, and in small amount, now I have a very big amount, and that big amount can be invested in some kind of a luxury item. Then we can say the integration has happened. This is basics basically of money laundering, and I will also explain it in detail, do not worry. But these are very new forms means last 3 decade or 4 decade, last 3 to 4 decades we have seen that these kinds of non-traditional crimes are prevailing. Okay, so this is all about the categorization. Now coming to the characteristics of a organized crime. Though I have already told you that in many movies you would have seen what kind of organized crime is happening and what basic things, basic characteristics is hold, but still if you are asked and you have to mention some points, first point is continuity. Continuity means that if some kind of organized crime is happening, then it may happen for many years. I mean, there can be one leader who all this, and then maybe in future the leadership is changed. but the system remains the same or the system is expanding. So I'll take an example of Uday Bhai and Shetty Bhai, and this is how they are running the organization. They have many small players within their system, and they are changing. Maybe they themselves are changing in the movie, however, but in real times also the leadership can change, but the system may be the same. So this is the continuity. Second point is basically the planning. One characteristics of the organized crime is the planning behind it and its membership. The membership means that the people may be from common ethnic background or common background in general. Maybe they all suffer from some kind of poverty, and then they say that we are from the same background and let's do big things together, as we have seen in movies sometimes. And this is how the membership, you are the part of the cartel, you are the part of the syndicate now. And it is also been said at times in the movies that there is always a way to enter into the cartel, but there is no way to exit. All these things you would have definitely heard. And fourth point here is the goal. The goal of this particular organized crime is economic benefit. Maybe people from different ethnic groups, maybe people from speaking different languages, they can come together in form of organized crime, and then they all want to reap the benefits out of it, and that benefit is actually economic benefit. The last characteristic you can mention in the exam, that one of the major characteristics of organized crime is also the structure. As I have already told you, they will be running such kind of cartel in a form of a structure in a very hierarchical manner, as we have discussed properly in detail before. So these are the 5 basic characteristics. If it is being asked to you, what are the characteristics of organized crime? So do not start stating the examples. It is important to you mention, actually, if you understand what is organized crime, you will be able to answer these kind of points. Okay, students. Now let's discuss what is transnational organized crime. Definitely you understand from the word itself that transnational means that the crime is happening in between different countries, and many countries are impacted here. But this is not the right way to express your answer. If you want to express you want to make your answer different, then definitely you must ensure that you give some points that are from some kind of a convention. So how a organized crime convention explains transnational crime? If a student is expressing answer in this format, in stating Article 3 of the convention defines transnational crime according to some of the criterias, then that will be very good answer, and it gives or leaves a very good impression on the examiner. So I give you some points out of this convention, how this convention explains or defines transnational crime. First point is very simple, that definitely the crime is being committed in more than one state. So it's a very easy point. Second point is, if it is committed at one state, but substantial amount of planning, preparation and directions, they took place in the another state. So they are planning somewhere else, they are recruiting people somewhere else, and then they are attacking some another country. So state means country here. Then we can say yes, it is a form of transnational organized crime. 2 points. Third point is that it is committed in one state, but it involved organized crime groups that engages in criminal activities in more than one state. So they are in more than one state, they are scattered, but they are committing the crime in another state. So is a minor difference between the two, definitely. And last point is that it is committed in one state, but there is a spillover effect. What you have already understood from the last terrorism topic, spillover effect, that its effect has been seen in another state. I have already given you one example, Afghanistan, and then the terrorism or the organized crime impact in Pakistan and its impact in India. So when you take the example of Golden Crescent, whatever drug trafficking, opium production happening in Afghanistan, its spillover effect is seen in then India also, because from this diagram the Golden Crescent includes Iran, Afghanistan and Pakistan. So if such kind of a growth is happening of opium growth or the drug trafficking is happening in this region, its impact is going to be seen in the regional nearby neighbor. So India is indirectly impacted, and that is why we can say because of this crescent shape area, the impact is over Punjab in India. And then you are aware of the golden triangle also. Three countries are there. Generally the parts of Burma are also there: Vietnam, Laos, Thailand. So this kind of a triangle situation here where the opium production is happening, the spillover effect is seen in India and particularly in the northeast part of the country. See students, it is definitely advisable to make this graph. Number of ways, number of topics you can make this graph, and I'm telling you very clearly, whosoever is getting selected, whosoever is writing good answer, that student is making a map, that student is mentioning golden crescent and golden triangle, not just in linkage of organized crime with terrorism, in this topic, in terrorism topic, in topics like drug trafficking, in topics like general topic of internal security also you can mention this, money laundering you can mention this, black money. Students, anywhere you can mention this particular diagram, try to memorize it, try to practice it, and this is going to give you 1 mark, 1 additional mark. But if you are not writing it, definitely 1 mark can also be deducted because examiner will be seeing a lot of such kind of diagrams in other copies. Anyways, coming to the different types of organized crimes, so you must have few examples in your hand so that you can mention these examples in the exam, and I'll give you the list. The first answer is very simple: drug trafficking. And from this photograph also you can understand drug trafficking, golden crescent and golden triangle. Example has already been given, the name of the countries have been mentioned. Second is smuggling. So smuggling has, you can say that smuggling is happening since last 5 decades, 6 decades. In earlier times, in ancient history also, in medieval history also, smuggling is used to happen. Without taking proper permission from one state, the goods are being transferred from one region to another region. This is smuggling. To evade the taxes, to evade the, some kind of arms can be smuggled. Anything, even gold. Recently we have seen 3 decades ago electronic equipments, in fact radio, satellite phones. When we talk about with respect to terrorism, then definitely these kind of equipments have been smuggled. So India is vulnerable, right? Because 7,500 kilometer, and in fact include the island area as well, the such kind of a border, it is very difficult to protect. It is very difficult to put the surveillance, and because we have open borders, or we can say we have porous borders, it becomes easier for smugglers to smuggle things from one place to another, though now we are using the technology for stopping such smuggling, but still earlier times also it used to happen. Third form of organized crime is arms trafficking. Very easy example, and another very important example you must quote in your exam is human trafficking. Human trafficking is, you can say that many women, even not just women but children, young children, they are victims of such human trafficking, and there is nexus of organized crime in this category as well, and very much prevalent in northeast and very much prevalent in fact other parts of the country, and transnational crime it is an example of transnational crime also. Fifth example you can state is extortion and in fact contract killing. So easy example. And sixth, one of the examples can also be money laundering. So there are other forms of crime also, but at least these 6 points will be enough to quote in a 10 mark or 15 mark answer, not more than that. So these are the forms of the different types of organized crime. This was asked in UPSC 2022 exam, and this is just need to be explained with examples as I have given you already. Then if it is being asked to you that what are the factors that are responsible for the spread of the organized crime. Now when we are here talking about the spread of the organized crime. We are not talking about its cause. Cause is the economic benefit, reaping economic advantage. But when it comes to spreading of the organized crime, one point is the spread of technology. Because there is increase in technology, there are social media, where people can talk to each other easily, and they can be recruited, they can be the part of the cartel, and the expansion of the territories can happen easily. Now see, the role of social media is another topic, and learning this topic, linkage of organized crime with terrorism, you can understand that even if this topic comes up in the exam, this topic of linkage of the organized crime can be 1 point, and this 1 point can fetch you 1 mark. So this is the role of technology and the increasing expansion of technology, where the misuse of the technology is being done by such groups. Second point is the increasing demand of the illegal goods. So definitely, if there is an increase in demand, so more and more organized crime will flourish. Let us take example of illegal uh, trafficking of animals. With respect to environment topic, in your environmental science, you read about all these things, that many of the animals, many of the organisms, they are traded, and one such example is Indian and Chinese pangolins. This example you learn in your environmental studies, right? But you're quoting this example in the internal security. This is the beauty of the UPSC exam. Whatever you are learning in different subjects, you can actually interlink them, and once you start to interlink all these topics together, you make a very good answer. And this is what is being required in the mains exam, and people are, they take even 1 or 2 attempts to understand how to write good answers in the exam. So students, when I talk about pangolins, the scales of pangolins, they are of great value in the international market, because they are used for medicinal purpose, and it is also being said that pangolins are being eaten also. So this is one example. Now I take example of ancient history, ancient artifacts, paintings. These are of very importance, these are of very importance, they have very importance in the international market, and their illegal trading is being done. So until and unless there is some kind of a demand in the market, that is why these kind of illegal goods are being transported or smuggling happens. Very important reason, because of which there is a spread of organized crime. Ultimately, India's proximity with Golden Crescent and Golden Triangle. So this example is for drug trafficking. Right, so drug trafficking example, Golden Crescent and Golden Triangle, just learn it by heart. This is, you're going to quote this in the exam. Ultimately, there is globalization of the economies also. Many of the economies, they are now interlinked. They need raw material, they need the requirement of the productions done in other countries, so the goods can be smuggled for that purpose also. Ultimately, I've already told you that geographical terrain and porous borders, this is one big problem for India. And island, if we include the boundary of the islands as well, it is very large area, and it is very difficult to put surveillance at that point there. So you talk about 3 decades ago, 4 decades ago, when such smugglings were happening for some porous border areas, it was difficult to control. But now we are using the technology. I've already told you, we can use satellites for imaging, we can use thermal imaging, we can use drones now, or even in future we can use robots also, right? Then criminalization of the politics. Last point is criminalization of the politics, because if politicians are criminals, or if they were criminals in the past but now they have turned up into politician, their base is of doing criminal activities, and they will be part of the nexus of criminals, then these criminals turning into politicians, and then they having relations and corruption happening in the government as well. Government officials are corrupt. Such kind of nexus is going to promote and spread organized crime in the region. So I hope you understood the factors. I have given you almost 6 to 7 points here, and this could be one of your 10 marks question, potential question. If such question comes up, do not be surprised, right? Ultimately, you also should understand what is the similarity between organized crime and terrorism. If we are talking about linkages, right, we must know similarities, and then we also should know the differences. Until and unless we know the similarities and differences between the two, we will not be able to link them. So what are the similarities? Similarities include that they both want to recruit new members into their group, and those new recruitments are basically marginal social groups, right? So these marginal social groups, these are vulnerable people, and they may be economically weak, they may be socially weak, educationally weak, and they need money. So for that purpose, maybe their ideology is also there, they can be recruited. Definitely they both are punishable by law. If you do organized crime or you do terrorism, both are punishable by law. It's a very simple similarity. The magnitude of punishment can be different, but yes, they both are punishable. The simple point is they are using latest technological advancement and they are abusing technology. I have also given this point here, the factors responsible for the spread of the organized crime, and you see this particular question can be in itself a question for 10 marks in the exam. Technology, its expansion in spreading of the organized crime and terrorism, this could also be a simple single point which can turn into a good quality question where science and technology can be linked with internal security, and both are the part of the GS paper 3. And UPSC is known for interlinking of the topics and asking you some kind of a novel question. Do not worry, you are already reading all this, so you will be able to answer it well, do not worry. But tomorrow if a question comes up on the misuse of technology, and this question, it's not just a 10 mark question or 15 mark question, a essay comes on this point. How technology is a boom, or it's been misused, or it's double-edged sword, anything like this, then also these points which you are learning here, whatever knowledge you're gaining here, you can write good quality answers in your exam. Even an essay can be written on this topic. So definitely they are using latest technological advancements, they both are doing so, and both are tech savvy, they both have tech savvy groups to express and expand their territories. So I have told you high tech forms of criminal activity and the novel ways of expansion. They both involve good planning. At the background, they both are responsible for good proper planning, and until and unless they have good planning, they will not be able to attack. So ultimately we can say that secrecy and confidentiality in their activities is very much similar in both the whether it is organized crime or terrorist attack. Both the ways secrecy and confidentiality is required. However, if this is a similarity here, there is one difference that I want to tell you here in itself, that in terrorism, this secrecy and confidentiality is maintained till the attack happened. But after the attack, what will happen? After the event of the attack, what will happen? Some kind of terrorist organization will take responsibility. It is going to take the responsibility. However, in organized crime, there will be no one to take responsibility after the event, after the spread of the product, after the crime has been committed. Nobody is going to come up front and state that I am taking the responsibility, the group is taking the responsibility. The reason behind is they do not want to be in the limelight. But terrorists, they, after doing the attack, they want to take the responsibility because they want to tell the world that they have so and so demands, they have so and so ideology, and their ideology is more dominant over the others and should prevail. So students, this is very big difference between the two, but here in this particular slide we talked about similarities, so you can mention these points If a single question comes up tomorrow that what are the similarities and differences between the linkages of the organized crime and terrorism, such answer will be, such topic will be, such explanation will be very helpful. So coming to the differences straight away, this point I've already told you that these groups are never assuming any kind of responsibility. So this is organized crime, this is terrorism, and yes, they are never going to assume some kind of any kind of responsibility, because economic benefit is just the purpose. However, when terrorism is there, they are going to take the responsibility after the attack. This is one difference you are already aware of. I've already told you. Now, profit making is the purpose here, but reforming the social reality and ideological goals are there in the terrorism. Since I have already told you about this, that these ideology can be political, religious, or maybe some kind of social ideology which they want to promote, right? So this point is also done. And what about working with a parallel government? So organized crime will be running with parallel government, parallelly to the government, and they both will exist. Government is working here and parallelly organized crime is also flourishing. So they both can run parallelly. However, terrorism, the terrorist organization, they want to overthrow the existing government and they want to alter this status quo, means they do not want the government to continue and they want their ideology to flourish, right? If you take the example of Naxalism, and if such kind of terrorist attack happens from this group, the Naxalites, they demanding communism, their ideology is communism, spread of communism. They want to make India republic, and republic just like Republic of China. And if we talk about insurgency of Northeast, their demands are of secessionist demands. They want to make separate homeland for themselves. So this is also like toppling the government and making their own government. So if definitely they are just simple types of terrorism, maybe I've already explained in the past that if such events happen where the innocents are attacked and the creating terror or fear in the minds of the people is the reason and such a violent act happens, they can be terrorist attacks as well, but they are based on some kind of ideology. ISIS based on some kind of ideology, Taliban. So all these organizations, terrorist outfits, they have some kind of ideology behind, but not the organized crime. So organized crime, mostly it is preferable that organized crime should be non-violent. They do not want to come in limelight. They want to operate their business in very much secrecy, under the nose of the police, under the nose of the political system, democracy. So this is mostly non-violent. It can be violent also, but it is mostly non-violent. However, violent means are used by terrorist organizations. Then this point is also clear, these points are clear. This point is very simple, and similarly to the first point, that economic objectives are operational determinants of the organized crime, but accomplishing the political, social, or maybe religious goals is the purpose, and that is why they are doing such kind of a crime. So these are the basic differences. Please ensure that you understand them well. Until unless you understand the word organized crime and terrorism separately, you will not be able to understand the similarities and differences. My students, I also advise you, do not try to cram things. Try to understand things. See, whatever you will be listening today, you do not know when you will be expressing this in your exam, in your mains exam. So whatever you are learning, you sometimes you tend to feel that whatever I'm learning, I'm losing sight, I need to revise everything, I'm not able to recall, the memory is so weak. If such thoughts are coming in your mind, I must tell you, stop cramming. Try to understand the subjects, then at the end you just need to ensure that few facts you are aware of, and then only you will be able to write good answers. Until unless you have good understanding of the topic, it becomes very difficult to answer the questions, right? On the basis of cramming, you are not going to write the mains examination. So I hope my students understood well, very clearly, the similarities and differences between the two, right?